What if the person you've been trying to become isn't the person your soul came here to be? Welcome to Seeker's Soliloquy, where we sit at the edge of psychology, story, and spirit. And today we begin the unraveling. We're exploring the hidden architecture of the psyche, Freud's id, ego, and superego, and the moment they begin to dissolve through what mystics and psychologists alike call ego death. We'll weave together Freudian insight, Jungian depth, and the whispers of non-dual traditions that teach us you are not your roles, your cravings, or your conscience. You are the stillness that watches them all. This is the story of what happens when the voices inside you break apart, and how something deeper rises in the silence. The id is the root flame. It is primal, wordless, instinctive. The part of you that wants, deeply, immediately, and without explanation. It craves pleasure. It avoids pain. It believes feeling is truth. You've met the id in Jinx, the haunted genius of arcane. Her longing morphs into chaos. Her grief lashes out as color and sound. She's not evil. She's overwhelmed by need, unmet and unprocessed. And because she was never safe enough to sit with her pain, she learned to erupt instead. I've been there. There have been moments when I didn't pause, when I chased relief without reflection. Times when I said too much, reached too fast, acted from emptiness rather than clarity. Decisions made in the heat of craving, moments that left behind shame. But I've come to see the id not as something to suppress, but something to understand. Its voice is honest. It just isn't always wise. It's the part of me that wants love to arrive immediately, like fire catching dry wood. It's not bad, it's just young. So I invite you to reflect. When do I feel the pull of impulse most strongly? What needs am I trying to meet when I act quickly or recklessly? What does my id long for that I haven't dared to name? The ego is the translator. It stands at the border between your inner world and your outer life. It creates coherence, identity, strategy. It's the part of you that says, I am this, and then builds a life around it. Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender knows this tension. He's not wearing a mask. He's surviving an identity. A son trying to live up to a story that's tearing him apart. He wants honor, but what he really wants is love. And his ego tries over and over to protect him by giving him a role to play. The prince, the soldier, the son. I've worn these roles too. The wise one, the good one, the overachiever, the caretaker, the version of myself that would be easier for others to love. Sometimes I even mistook those versions for the real me. The ego isn't false. It's just selective. It organizes the parts of you that helped you survive. But when the situation changes and the soul begins to stir, those old roles feel tight, like outgrown clothes. So I ask you now, what identities have I built to feel safe, accepted, or valuable? What would it feel like to loosen those roles? Am I living from authenticity or from adaptation? The superego is the inner guide, not a tyrant, but the protector of values. It forms from the voices we grew up hearing, our families, mentors, teachers, cultures. And eventually, it evolves into the voice of our own deeper principles. We see the superego in Todoroki Shoto from My Hero Academia, who tries to live outside the shadow of his father while still clinging to a code of integrity. His moral compass isn't about performance, it's about reclaiming a path of his own. His inner voice pushes him not out of punishment, but out of purpose. The superego is there to serve you, not dominate you. It matures when we question it, not with rebellion, but with reverence. So I ask, tenderly, whose expectations still echo in my mind? Which of those have I claimed as truly mine, and which need to be released? What does my inner guide say when I listen beneath the noise? And then there comes a moment, a breakup, a breakdown, a slow unraveling of the self. When you no longer want what you used to crave. When the image you worked so hard to maintain feels hollow. When the rules you once followed don't make sense anymore. This is ego death. It's not a collapse, it's a dissolving. The id still speaks, but you no longer act without question. The ego still exists, but you no longer mistake it for truth. The superego still guides, but you can finally discern when its wisdom is real and when it's just fear in disguise. You stop identifying with the voices. You start noticing the space between them. And in that space, something quiet appears. Stillness, presence, awareness. You become the one who watches, not the one who reacts. This is the turning point, the surrender, the shedding. And when the old self melts away, the soul doesn't scream, it breathes. You are no longer becoming someone. You simply are. You are not here to destroy your inner world. You are here to understand it. The hunger that rises in you, the mask that holds you together, the voice that calls you to be better. Each one was built for a reason. The id reaches towards aliveness. The ego holds the pieces. The superego watches over the path. None of them are broken. They are just waiting to be integrated. And when the old structure begins to fall away, when you no longer chase every craving, cling to every identity, or obey every inherited rule, that isn't failure. That's freedom. This is what we mean by ego death. Not the end of the self, but the end of mistaking yourself for the fragments. What remains is not a blank slate, but a deeper awareness. The presence that feels overwhelming, but is not overwhelmed by any of it. The self that doesn't need to prove, perform, or please, because it simply is. So if you find yourself dissolving, if the stories that used to define you feel like echoes now, you're not disappearing, you're returning. Returning to the one who watches with compassion, the one who listens without judgment, the one who has been here all along. Before we close, let's speak to the parts of you that may still be holding on. You can say these quietly to yourself or out loud if it feels safe to do so. Let the words land wherever they need to. I honor the part of me that craves. I understand the part of me that protects. I listen to the part of me that guides. I honor every part of me, instinct, identity, and ideal. But I am more than any one of them. I am the stillness beneath the storm. I am not broken. I am becoming. And I am allowed to change. This is Seeker's soliloquy. And sometimes, to become whole, we have to let everything fall away. Until next time, keep seeking. And remember, wholeness was never about perfection. It was about coming home to every part of you.